Trade Coffee is here to help you make better coffee at home. Trade Coffee, roast order coffee from more than 55 nations, top roasters right to your doorstep. Jumpstart your daily coffee routine by signing up for a Trade subscription right now. Right now, Trade is offering a free bag and select subscription plans when you visit drinktrade.com/IDACAT, IDKAT. That's drinktrade.com/IDACAT for a free bag with select subscription plans. Drinktrade, DRINKTRADE.com/IDKAT. Kermit the Frog. Miss Piggy. If they fuck, do they have a child? You might find out. I don't know about that. But Jim Jefferies. Forrest is already laughing.
Because we started it and your mind was someone else, and I knew your mind was somewhere else, and you were like, the music went too long before you said anything.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking. I was angry about something else.
Normally you said something already, and you're like, I knew you were gone. You're like, your brain was somewhere else.
Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy. If they fuck, what type of hybrid animal would that be? Pig frog.
I just looked at your face too. No one's gonna see your face in that part, but you were like this.
Right, what gigs have I got coming up?
Vegas this week, 8th and 9th at the Mirage.
At the Mirage this weekend.
This week,
man.
please come out.
If you're an Australian who's come out for the NRL, stick around.
Yeah.
It's not called the Hard Rock yet?
No, I think it's always going to be the Mirage.
It's Mirage owned by the Hard Rock.
Oh, okay.
I think they'll keep that name probably, but who knows? Spirit Mountain Casino the next week on the 16th in Grand Ronde, Oregon. The 22nd and 23rd of March, you'll be in Des Moines at the 22nd, and Kansas City, Missouri on the 23rd. Then you're in South Africa. You go to Spokane, Washington, Denver, Colorado.
LA gig has been rescheduled for December this year.
Been rescheduled, but you got gigs in Fort Lauderdale, San Francisco, more Las Vegas, a bunch of other stuff. Go to thejimjefferies.com for his whole tour. You can find everything on there.
And I'm about, if you're a Canadian fan and you live in Canada, I have a big announcement coming out in about a week or so.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Not what you think it's going to be. It's a big thing, only for Canada.
And IDCat Podcast on Instagram. The merch will be very soon. The final ones are coming in. We're all going to take a look at them.
All right. We've only got a limited amount of time in the studio, but I got to tell you what happened to me yesterday. Forrest already knows. So this is my life as life happens, right? I'm not going to say where this happened because I have to see these people on the regular. It's a thing to do. I'll just say it's parents of other kids at my kids' school and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was at it was at my kids' baseball. All right, my kids' baseball the other day, and I had a hemorrhoid that's popped. Right.
What does that mean?
Means it was bleeding profusely, but I thought I'd gotten it earlier that day, right?
Yeah.
Now you know when you shit yourself, right? There's a smell involved, right?
Yes.
So even if you don't feel the shitting of yourself, you can smell the shitting of yourself.
Yes.
And that can work as a survival technique in its own way. I have to get home and clean the shit off myself. Well, I did not know this, but I had a hemorrhoid that had popped, that had seeped through my pants.
You wrote to me, I had a hemorrhoid pop and blood all over my pants at Hank's baseball practice. I go, was it showing? And Jim goes, you tell me. We'll show that.
Don't show the picture. No, the public can't see it.
It looks like a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
That's inside the pants.
It looks like I committed suicide by putting a shotgun up my ass.
That's inside the pants, though. Is it that bad outside?
It's outside, inside. It had to go through underwear. That was the underwear was in a real state.
And you didn't feel like you're like, oh, it's just a bit swampy down there.
I wasn't feeling. I knew that my hemorrhoid.
That's the next thing you wrote. I feel great now because it's gone, but who knows who saw it?
There's inside. There's outside.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. It's like a three-parter on the outside.
There's outside. Yeah, outside's no good. Hey, people on the screen saw that for a second. I was taking screenshots.
Pixelated. And I was like,
but anyway,
you don't know if anyone saw it.
They must have.
But they probably thought you sat in ketchup or something.
No one said, that's my out. My out is I sat in something because it was red. I came home and the wife was cooking dinner and I came home like this. My son doesn't know either because I didn't tell him. I was just like this. I had a bad hemorrhoid today. How bad was it? I turned around and she was like, oh my God, get upstairs quickly, have a shower. And I was like, oh.
Were you not lightheaded? It looks like so much blood.
I lost so much blood. I'm not allowed to give blood because I'm anemic. I go in there and they don't let me.
Wow.
They don't let me. Also, there used to be a question. There used to be a question back in the day. Have you ever seen an escort? You had to tick all the different boxes whether you could give blood.
You ever seen an escort?
Yeah. And I was like, this, well, I can't give blood.
Sorry, rest of the world.
I think they're a bit more lax with it now because they can test the blood. But
Yeah.
back in the 90s with the worrying about the AIDS and all that type of stuff, that was on the list of shit,
Wow.
right? And I was like, I remember trying to give blood in the 90s, and I was like, can't give it. Why? Anemic.
What are you doing with these pants?
I washed them. They came out great.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Threw them straight in the machine. They fixed.
That would be like an ad
I
for
was
Tide or
going
something.
to say that. Put them
like-
up for auction or something.
Man,
Tide.
these things here look like I sat on a murder. It was unbelievable and now I'm completely better. I had no problems with hemorrhoids. One swelled up, and then I had a bad poo, and then it was dripping a bit, and then because you got to understand, it's a varicose vein. It's a vein that's busted, right?
Yeah.
It's squirting fucking
We did
blood.
an episode.
It's squirting blood, right?
That was an episode that everyone tuned out of. But
Yeah,
that was-
and I thought I'd fixed it. I thought I'd pushed it back up. If I knew it was going to be like this, I would have put a fucking.
Did you stand up a lot at the game? Give him a rally on the drums.
It was training. I was helping collect balls. If I just sat in the stand, right, I would have gotten away with it. But I'm out there going, there you go, lads, because I'm not very. I did it. This is in front of kids. I'm not very coordinated. So some of the dads are there with gloves and stuff and trying to help out and stuff like that. And I try to make myself busy. I go, I'll collect a few balls and put them in the buckets and stuff. I do things like that. I do a bit of low maintenance work around the place. All whilst having a fucking Japanese flag on my fucking asshole.
That's more than a Japanese flag. It's 3 parts.
That's like the Chinese flag.
It was the Japanese flag when they open up the flag for the World Series final. Anyway, let's
Before we go, April 24th, 26th, Factory Theatre, Sydney. I'll be there. Please buy tickets. Sydney, Australia.
Now, Jack, we recorded this bit after the first bit, so you'll now know why I'm referencing. Let's just say that what I did was not what this next subject is.
Now let's meet our guest, Jason Taittinger.
G'day, Jason. Thank you for being on the podcast. But more importantly, now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
Now, Jason, I'm looking at you. You got art behind you. It's art of wildlife. We got elephants. We got birds. We got a skull there with things. We got paintbrushes. We got a soundproof booth, which means you probably do something. I'm going to say it's the life and times of Bob Ross. Am I correct?
I wish.
Is it art related?
Yes, but not in the present.
Is it the history of art?
That would be a long podcast.
Is that a no? History of art?
That's a no.
Oh, okay. Is it is it the difference between oil and acrylics?
Look at you, Jim.
Well,
It goes further back than that.
My son's into art, so I bought oils and acrylics and stuff. I've gone to acrylics. I didn't know that if I had oil paint that my skin would be stained for the rest of my life. Like, you fucking watch Bob Ross. That cunt's doing it in a white shirt, just like this, and mix a bit of the titanium white with the blue, and over here, and then fix your brush. Dunk, 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 dunk. I got the thing. I was doing that in the garage. Dunk, 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 dunk. Fucking, I look like a Jackson Pollock painting. But then I was covered in that paint thinner. I'm pretty sure I've got some type of cancer from it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I know that you're in the Bob Ross now. At some point, we'll do a Bob Ross.
Oh, you got to do Bob Ross.
It's not Bob Ross.
Bob Ross is fantastic. How does he do it? It's like watching magic. Is it Aboriginal dot paintings?
What?
That's when you see
It was going to be. There was going to be a segment originally, but we narrowed the focus down a little bit.
Oh, see.
Ooh. Guess what it was gonna
Is
be?
it modern art?
No. Like I said, it predates the oil and acrylic.
Is it Reuben and Fat Chicks?
No.
Okay, because that's what Ruben liked, right? Ruben liked the
Paul Rubens?
Rubenesque. But yeah, it was Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. I would think...
Curvy women.
I would think a time period.
Oh, is it the Renaissance?
Well, if you're going to say it like that, we're going to stop the podcast right now.
Yeah,
Renaissance.
Yeah, Renaissance.
Renaissance?
You're saying Bernays sauce?
I say
Bearnaise
Renaissance.
sauce. Renaissance.
How do you say it, Jason? Renaissance or Renaissance?
I say Renaissance, but Jim's a little. Maybe his English is a little better than ours.
Yeah, I probably say it the way that the British say it,
Renaissance.
and the language is called English.
That's true.
Not Australian.
He's a Renaissance man. Renaissance man. Renaissance.
Yeah.
Renaissance man.
Renaissance Zellweger.
So we're going to be talking about the Renaissance, specifically, like mostly about the art of the Renaissance. But
Michelangelo, Leonardo
calm
DiCaprio,
down.
they're all there.
Jason Taittinger is an artist, an art instructor, and an art history
All the
enthusiast.
turtles.
Jason runs a YouTube channel about watercolor painting and mindset for artists. His YouTube channel showcases his distinctive watercolor techniques, as you can see if you're on YouTube. Jason also leads watercolor workshops and designs t-shirts. His store, Merchmonger, draws inspiration from a variety of sources, including some of our episodes. He's a fan of IDCat.
Oh, wow.
His YouTube channel is at JT8NJR, and his Instagram is at Jason Taittinger. His last name is Taittinger. Facebook at JBT8NJR, and you can email him. You gave your email. You want people to email you? Yeah, JasonTaittinger at gmail.com. So go check out. We have links to all this stuff, watercolor.printifyme and merchmonger.printifyme, to see some of his art there and paintings and things you can buy. There's I'll show you right now. We'll put these up here, but he sent some of his artwork in, but he also did this is all the subject we've ever done on IDCat, the poster, and then
Oh, wow.
the poo on a stick is really, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, he's offered to send us t-shirts.
Poo on a stick.
Yeah, I don't know if
I still want to call it to a poo on a stick. You got the poo on a stick t-shirt.
Yeah, I think well, he's offered to send them to him. I don't want to put pressure on him, but he's offered to send us t-shirts.
Ah, yeah. I love it.
You still want to call us?
I love it, poo on a stick.
Yeah.
Can't do it anymore. We talked about that in the last podcast.
What?
Can't find dog shit anywhere.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's all gone. Back in the day, you could get poo on a stick. I always found it weird that I was at school, I was stepping in dog shit. Who brought the dog to school?
Let me tell you something funny that happened from our last episode. Was you mentioned that you never step in dog shit anymore. It was like a curb episode, and then literally the next day I came over to your house to play pinball, and I brought Arnie, and Arnie was running around my yard, in your yard, and then I went and took him for a walk, and he hadn't pooed, and I'm like, oh my god, did he poop in Jim's yard? And I didn't know that, and then I thought you were gonna step, and then he pooped right after that. But for a moment, if he wouldn't have pooped, I would have thought there was poop in your yard. I would have had to go back there. You would have stepped in it. You know the rest. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about the Renaissance and Renaissance art. At the end of him answering these questions, Jason, you're going to grade him on his accuracy, 0 through 10. Jack's going to grade him on how confident he is, and I'm going to grade him on how hungry I am. Jack didn't think that was funny. Okay. Add those together.
We actually record the first bit before the second bit because our guest has been here earlier, and so we were going to record the first bit. So I'm going to tell a story in the first bit that Jack doesn't know yet, but I'm going to reference it now as a bit of modern art.
Okay. All right. So we're going to add all the scores together. If you score 21 through 30, your ceiling painting, old Michelangelo 11 through 20 canvas painting.
That was the Sistine Chapel, my friend. I hope that's a
0 to
question.
10K painting.
I've seen it. I was so drunk.
Okay.
I got fucking wasted before I went in there. Wandering around, just looking at pictures. Where is he? Where's the bloke on the roof?
You must have been a delight for other people that
I was
saved all their money to go to there.
21 years old. I was fucking blasted walking around museums in Italy, drunk at everyone.
People that were like 50, like, we finally made it. There's just some Australian guy.
Yeah.
This is still a church.
Where's the bit where, why doesn't he just extend his fucking finger? Like, he's trying to touch God. Who is it? Is it Adam or is it Abraham? Who is he's trying to touch God there?
I don't know.
It's Adam.
It's Adam, right?
There you go.
Extend your finger, cunt.
What was the Renaissance?
The Renaissance was a rich and fulfilling and bold era of the art world.
Was it?
Yeah, it was maybe where we got true imagery of Renaissance paintings. Do you want to know what years?
Sure. That's the next question. When was? Is that your answer for what was
Yeah,
it?
fucking
True imagery?
the 1800s.
1800s. And
Yeah, the
that's
100
the end of
years.
your answer for what the Renaissance was?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Define a Renaissance man.
He's a person that has a little bit of je ne sais quoi, a little bit of Jacques Coudou.
What's Jacques Coudou?
I just say things now. It's like I'm on the 1% club and people come up to me and ask me for 1% questions, so I've made up ones that don't have any answers and I walk away. I go, if Tuesday is a Monday and February is August, what is July? And then I walk away, leave it with them.
Yeah. Is that the end of your answer? Define a Renaissance man?
The answer is 7.
Okay. What converging events and technologies helped spark the Renaissance?
The invention of oil paints.
Yeah?
Yeah, oil paint. Oil
Okay.
paint. Putting in
Because
oil
Renaissance
paint.
wasn't all about art, just so you know.
Oh, there was other things. Mandolin playing. there was lots of things. It was when Europe was at its peak culturally, when it was really doing all the best stuff it could do. Actually, I'm going to go further back than the 1800s,
Sure.
1700s. Give it a go. Give 'em a rally on the drums.
And then, so the converging events of technologies was oil paint sparked it?
Oil paints and the first bloke that invented stretching canvas. Before it was just like a blanket and no one could really paint it. And then the guy goes, put wood behind it and stretch it out, make it taut.
Okay. Name 5 artists that...
4.
Oh, no. Name the 4 artists that the 4 Ninja Turtles are named after. What were their weapons? Like, what did they do?
Okay, so Raphael had size, right, which are like 3-pronged sticks.
No. I mean, like, their weapon...
Leonardo.
Their weapons in quotes, like, as the Renaissance. What did they do?
Donatello used a stick.
No. In the Renaissance, what did they do? Like,
Nunchucks,
were they
Michelangelo,
painters?
nunchucks.
Painters or...
They were painters.
No. Each one.
Okay. So Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel, the Statue of David, other statues that he never finished. He was a master a statue maker with marble, but also could paint like a motherfucker, man.
Okay.
So that was him. He was probably Italy's finest of all time.
And Raphael was...
Raphael was a painter. He did that painting that had that sort of bloke who wore a hat that had like a little bit of a goatee. He was into the paint, Raphael.
Donatello
did a Banksy style thing with stencils and spray paint all
Spray paint.
all around the Sistine Chapel. Like if there was a hole, he'd spray paint a little rat running out of it.
Mm-hmm. And
he was also a painter.
Who was the 4th Ninja Turtle?
Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci.
What did he do in real life?
Leonardo da Vinci, he painted the Mona Lisa, and he also painted things like
He was a painter.
Yeah, but he was also an inventor. He invented the idea of helicopters and stuff like that. He was a master engineer on top of being a painter.
And what weapon did he have as a turtle?
Leonardo was swords,
Name some Renaissance artists.
which is much better than a stick.
Much better than a stick.
Much better than a stick.
Name some Renaissance artists that are not Ninja Turtles. Like, you know.
Monet, he would have been one. Actually, I think he's way afterwards. I think he's in the. He's
Not Renaissance?
Yeah, but I'll throw him in there.
Monet.
Master Splinter.
Monet, yeah, Master Splinter. That big fucking the one that looked like a pig with a rhino, Rocksteady and Bebop.
Any other artists?
Shredder. Any other artists from the Renaissance?
There was more than 4.
Yeah, no, there's more than 4, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to think.
Are you sure?
Reuben. He would have been one.
He made the sandwich, right?
He made the sandwich, and that's to feed to the women to make the paintings.
Made him fat.
Oh, look, I'm no water painting. I love that saying when someone goes, "You're no water painting."
I've never heard that.
You never heard that saying
No.
when someone's like knocking someone's looks and they go, "Well, you're no water painting."
You're not.
You're no water painting. You never heard that saying?
No.
I use that all the time.
I like it. I'm gonna.
Any other artists?
You must be a water painting, Jack, because I would have said it to you otherwise.
Thank you.
I'm going to say Rembrandt.
That's a good one.
Rembrandt.
I think.
Rembrandt. What do you think about that?
Pretty
you're doing
excited
all
for you.
Yeah, Rembrandt. Venus drinks Milo.
Okay. That's not an artist, but
I
we'll
know,
keep
but
it.
it's the oldest bit of art in the Louvre, which is also where the Mona Lisa is.
What do the following
that's good.
painting terms mean? You ready?
Yes.
Chiaro.
Chiaro.
Yeah.
Chiaro means long strokes in Italy.
Okay. Scuro.
Scuro, small, little spotty strokes. Scuro, small.
Okay. What about sfufmato? Sfufmato? How do you say that,
Susmato
Jason?
is a gay slur from the olden days. You hear that, I hear that Michelangelo was a slufmato.
Sfumato.
Yeah, which means ceiling painter.
Okay, next question. Who painted the Sistine Chapel?
Michelangelo.
The Sistine Chapel was painted with what ancient, now obscure method?
The tip of your dick.
There's still
Okay, so
Picasso. I told you. He paints
so
with-
what's the question? Yeah, he paints his
He paints
dick.
with his dick
Oh
at
my
like
goodness.
festivals and stuff.
I couldn't. I could do Aboriginal dot paintings.
The Sistine Chapel was painted with what ancient, now obscure method? There's a method that Michelangelo used.
Ancient yet obscure. It was all catapult. All catapult 24/7. It was amazing. It came out so good.
How long did it take Michelangelo to complete the Sistine Chapel? You were there. You should know.
He started on a Sunday,
Yeah.
and it took him 5 years. But he would have had a terrible bad back
Bad answer.
because he was always like laying on his back. He's just doing that. It's like working under a car.
Yeah.
He must have had some type of. What type of paints was he using? Would have just been clay.
That would have been the method, probably.
Oh, clay.
Catapult.
Clay
paints?
Clay.
Clay paint.
Clay
Okay.
paint.
What other items did Michelangelo complete, like famous?
Well, David is his most famous. I'll say this: Michelangelo's David, and I went to Florence and I saw. Or there's all the different ones, but when you see the real one, even I was in Caesar's Palace the other day, and they have an exact replica, and it's very impressive.
Yeah.
But when you see the real one, and you figure out that cunt did that with a fucking washcloth, and
can't
a
make any
chisel
mistakes.
and a hammer,
Yeah.
and you can see the veins, and his head is bigger than his feet because he knew people would be watching it at a certain angle and all type of stuff. I saw it, I watched it, and I'm not a big art aficionado or anything like that, but I went back again. It's the
Yeah.
only time I went back the next day. I said I have to see it again. It was,
Oh, really?
and I would like to go take my children to see it or something like that. I don't know if he also did the big fountain in Rome where everyone flips the coin over the back. Tivoli fountain, not Tivoli.
Okay, so
You know the one.
David and the fountain. Anything else?
There's a whole lot of work that he hadn't completed that's in the same museum as Florence, which is amazing. It's like Moses, but he's coming out of the stone. It's like something's coming to life out of rock. It's even with these ones that were half finished. They were amazing. But I would say the Sistine Chapel and that. Oh, and there's a Mother Mary. There's a Mary statue he did that was a bit of a winner.
What is Leonardo da Vinci's most famous piece?
Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was the Mona Lisa.
Okay, what else? What? Okay,
The
Leonardo.
Last Supper. Is he the Last Supper? I'm going to say he was the Last Supper. Who's the Last Supper?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Leonardo's.
It's on a wall. That one's painted on a fucking wall, man.
Leonardo's most famous works. You know where it is?
That's in the Louvre
Okay. Leonardo's most famous works were
in
paintings.
Paris.
What else was he known for?
Country.
Leonardo da Vinci was an inventor, and he invented aircrafts long before we had aircrafts and stuff like that. And he also
Did he invent them or did he do what you do? He may have sketched them, but he do like.
Yeah, I don't even sketch mine.
Yeah. You're just
But
like make
Jack
this.
sent me one the other day. There's like a battery that won't run out.
Yeah.
It's
My
real.
idea. My
It's
idea.
real.
My
Is it?
idea.
There's one now. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Who were the top two financiers of the Renaissance?
I would say the Catholic Church and Scientology.
Catholic Church and Scientology. All right. Columbus sailed to the New World in what year, and who financed this voyage? Might be related to the last question. Or let's.
So Columbus was Italian,
We did an article. We did an episode.
and he sailed to in 1672.
And who financed this voyage? Do you remember?
Gilligan.
Gilligan. Who is considered the most significant? What is considered the most significant invention of the Renaissance?
Paint.
Paint.
The paintbrush.
Paintbrush.
Before that, they just had horses' tails, and they make them back up, and they dip them, and they go
Live horses.
They go like this, and then they went, we should put that bit on a stick and just cut this bit off.
Yeah.
And like someone was like this: you change the old ways, you change the new ways.
Did any of the artists make any money?
They always say that they never made money within their lifetime, but I imagine some of them would have made money. They would have been people, as you said, they were funded. I don't believe Michelangelo was living in a fucking box. Now, you've got, like, say, Van Gogh, right, who wasn't part of the Renaissance, who's more current than that, right? Mm-hmm. He made nothing, they reckon, until he died. But when you scratch the surface a bit more about him, it turns out that he was a well-acknowledged painter in his lifetime. It's just that, it wasn't a shit ton of money that he was making. I'm a Ken Doan guy. Ken Doan. I'm going to put Ken Doan in the Renaissance. He's still alive. He's only in his early 80s. But if you're listening, Ken, hi.
And if he was a Ninja Turtle, what would his weapon be?
Oh, bloody. If he was a Ninja Turtle, what would Ken Doan's... He would be the stars, Ninja Stars.
Yeah.
Ken's all about working quick. Splat, splat, splat. And he's like, colour. I got a story about Ken Doan that when my nephew died, I went to his gallery and I was walking around because I was working in Sydney, and I'd been to my nephew's funeral, and the next day I went to the gallery and I saw his paintings that reminded me of my childhood, and they were all colourful, and it cheered me up for some reason, whatever reason. These paintings spoke to me, they childlike paintings, and I bought one that day. And it cheered me up. Art can move you. I believe in art. I think art's very important. I believe in putting money into the arts as well. I think that at school, I'm as happy when my son does well in as good an art class as he does in maths. I have to be, because he's from my gene pool, and the chances of him doing good at maths or spelling is very low.
Okay, last question. What is said to have ended the Renaissance?
Is that meteor? Right?
Disco.
That would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, all right.
Disco sucks. Sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest impact, and Trade Coffee is a great addition to your morning routine. Trade brings roasted to ordered coffee with more than 55 of the nation's top roasters right to your doorstep. Stay tuned for a special offer for the I Don't Know About That listeners in just a moment.
And that moment's now.
That moment's now. I don't know about you, but March is a time of year where I need to pick me up. All times of year I need to pick me up.
Yeah.
All times of year I need coffee. Trade deliveries are always a bright spot of my week. When you subscribe to Trade, you'll discover new favourites while supporting small businesses around the country. The best part is that you can personalise everything. They send the coffee that's matched to your taste preferences, and you choose how often you get it delivered. So you go, I like a certain type of roast with a certain type of thing, and I drink a cup of coffee a day, so you get that much coffee. Or I only drink a cup of coffee once a week, twice a week. Mm-hmm. You can get that as well. Go get Trade Coffee. So I'm going to speak more about my coffee experience as well. My wife is a coffee snob. Coffee snob. She says American coffee's no good. You heard that, America? When you see her in the street, boo her. When she's in Australia, she says the coffee's good, and she says the coffee's all right in Britain, but she doesn't like coffee in America. Until we got Trade. Now we get coffee delivered. She's a cup a day person, so she says. I think she's hiding a few cups from me. Right?
She said she drank 4 yesterday.
That's what she says to you. To me, she lies, because I run a tight ship, Jack. I run a tight ship. Jumpstart your daily coffee routine by signing up to a Trade subscription. Right now, Trade is offering a free bag with selected subscription plans when you visit drinktrade.com/IDCAT. That's drinktrade, drinktrade.com/IDCAT, IDKAT, for a free bag with select subscription plans. drinktrade.com/IDCAT.
Jason, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10's the best. How did Jim do in his knowledge of the Renaissance?
So out of 14 questions, he got 7 right. So that's 50%.
Boom!
7.
Boom! I'm an old-fashioned man.
I'm going to count these as we go. I don't know if there's 7 in there, but okay. How do you do in confidence?
I'm gonna give him a 6. I didn't.
I only like modern art. I'll be honest with you. My favourite artist of old style art is Van Gogh, right? When I went and saw Van Gogh, and I've been to his museum, and I did, look, earlier that day I'd gone to the Anne Frank Museum, and I found the Van Gogh Museum more uplifting. And so I went to that one afterwards, right? And Van Gogh, man, that guy, with Starry Night, little things from his window, and all just little. That painting moves as you look at it. It moves.
There's
and
another one, Van Gogh. I'm pretty sure is what people say.
Yeah, but that's American Van Gogh. Because the Dutch go Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Well, they're the most wrong.
Yeah, the Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And fucking earless cunt he was, mate. But he
I ate a bad hot dog out in front of there and missed the only show I ever missed with you.
Yeah, Forrest couldn't get on stage.
I tried to go. It was coming out of all ends.
Yeah.
It was a sausage right out front of them Van Gogh museum.
We were doing 8,000 people in Amsterdam, and Forrest couldn't make it to the gig.
Amos was there, luckily, still. But Amos, when I went there, Amos had some other sausage. I had one, and it was not good.
Not good.
Wasn't the sausage a weird color too? And you're like, I shouldn't eat this.
It was bad.
He wasn't even drunk, just eating it at the front of the Van Gogh Museum.
I was like, I'll be right down, and then I was like, I'll meet you there.
I'll
see you guys tomorrow.
I only eat sausages out the front of the Anne Frank Museum. Better quality.
Yeah.
Harder to find though.
All right, I'm not that hungry, so you're cave painting right now. What was the Renaissance? Jim said a rich and fulfilling and bold era of the art world where we got true imagery. How does that?
That's one of my questions.
And he said it was in the 1800s, nope, 1700s. Jason, got any?
So he didn't back it up quite enough there, but as far as the Renaissance goes, so things moved slower back then. They didn't have the internet to say, hey, we've got this cool stuff going on. So there was humanism earlier in the 1300s and 1400s, and that was an expression of that people are more than just people in the Bible, I guess. They have potential to paint, to create, and to do good things. And so, I mean, it was, a good fun time, but if you lived 100 miles from Florence, you might not have ever heard of Michelangelo or any of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's the thing with everything, though, isn't it? It's like back then, you only lived 20 miles.
Yeah.
That
is a good way to put it. No internet, because we see the Renaissance as like, well, everyone in the world must have been talking about.
Oh, they were all going on about it.
Meanwhile, it was like just some small
They're
area.
all going on about it, but yeah, different cultures doing different style of paints. Like the art they were doing in Africa was different from the art in Europe, was different from the art in South America, but art was everywhere.
What years would you say?
There's no culture that doesn't give it a go.
Yeah.
What years, Jason?
So the years have a pretty broad range from the 1300s to the 1700s. But what we're primarily talking about is the High Renaissance from 1490 to 1520. Mm-hmm. So it really peaked at that point. And there were some other factors that kind of brought it to a screeching halt.
But it only got to Australia in the 1600s, and that's why I said that. So
good point. Good. How do you define a Renaissance man? Jim says a person has a little bit of je ne sais quoi.
And I'll also add to that pocket squares.
Pocket squares. Well, they dressed a little bit more flamboyantly than pocket squares back then. A Renaissance man was very well-rounded, studying anatomy, botany, architecture. I mean, Leonardo is kind of viewed as the pinnacle of the Renaissance man because of his journals. He painted. So he's kind of the poster boy for the Renaissance man.
And he did the famous, what's it called, that guy where he's standing like that and then his arms are a little bit like that. It's the
Vitruvian man.
Yeah, that where you go, that's the human body.
What's it called?
Vitruvian man?
Vitruvian man. I know the thing you're talking about.
I bet you there's a movie called The Vitruvian Man, right?
It isn't. There's a museum here, and I'm sure other museums do this, but it's the Getty, which is free to go to, and they have artwork set up where, as you go from room to room, it goes in that chronological way, and when you go, the initial stuff is, I don't know what you call it, but it's like really not realistic looking it up, but not really, and it's all super religious, and you can see over time, right when it gets to the Renaissance, that they're just kind of like,
yeah. When do they start showing tits in paintings? What year is that?
From the beginning, I think.
No, the religious people got the way. No,
super religious,
bloody religious.
Jason,
people.
tits. Do you know the answer to that?
When was the first tit painting?
That was when you get into pre like the pre-Raphaelites and pre-Impressionism, or during Impressionism, but like Bouguereau was known for painting scantily clad women dancing with mythological creatures.
All right.
But the Greeks were doing statues. I mean, the Venus de Milo was discovered in the 1800s, but carved way before that, and she was naked.
Yeah, she was a naked amputee.
Very
And
progressive.
an AC/DC song as well.
From the Wounded Greek Project.
What converging events and technologies helped spark the Renaissance?
Hell of a blowjob, the Venus de Milo.
Jim said the invention of oil paints and stretching canvas.
Yeah, the canvas stretcher. That was another thing you used to call.
So the Renaissance really was because of the Black Death years before. A lot of like if the blacksmith down the road died of the Black Death and you survived, now you had more business, so you had more money. Constantinople fell due to war, and a lot of the education, the books, the scholars from there came to Italy, and then rediscovery of the Greek and Roman texts. So that kind of brought everything together. Plus, if we think about Marco Polo and all the travel that was going on around the world, silks. So it was just it's kind of like, think of what it was like when, the .com thing happened before the .com bust, or, Chat GPT. We're in our own Renaissance as we speak.
Have you been to Greece, mate?
I have not.
Okay, they're not taking care of their art very well. That's all I'm putting out there. you can go up to the Acropolis and all that type of stuff. You can just sit on really old things. No one's stopping you from doing nothing.
You could take a shit on the Acropolis and it wouldn't get cleaned up for a month.
No.
People would.
So some local
That would be the Acropolis.
Some local stray cats would scrape over the top of it and move on. Yeah, no, like those marbles that they have in the British Museum that the Greeks want back, and the English are going, you won't take care of them? I'm going with the English on this one.
Yeah, that's they got some problems. Remember that place we went to, I think we've talked about, but the Poseidons.
Yeah.
We were staying across there.
Yeah.
The signs were all faded. They had
Yeah.
buses and people coming up to us, and you're like, what does that say? Poseidon's the most beautiful setting over the Aegean Sea.
Oh,
stunning.
It's stunning.
And they're like, we'll get some new signs. eventually."
They have all the natural beauty and architectural things to be the greatest location on earth.
Yeah.
They can't lock it down. They're fucking hopeless. They
Can't do it. Yeah.
They can't do it.
Name 4 artists that the 4 Ninja Turtles are named after and their weapons. Jim said Raphael Painter did a painting of a dude with a goatee. Donatello, Banksy type art. Yeah. Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel David, and Leonardo painted the Mona Lisa and invented helicopters.
So Donatello did like that famous sketch of the Pope, but he was wearing a dress on the bottom half. And it was a stencil.
You haven't seen that Donatello in lockdown as far as what he did. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about these guys, Jason?
Yeah, so Donatello was also a sculptor who inspired Michelangelo. And he also lived, most of these artists other than Raphael lived to be pretty old, especially when you consider the time. Donatello lived to be 80. He did a statue of David that inspired Michelangelo. Leonardo, he was a painter, scientist, and inventor. And he died at the age of 67. Raphael was a painter, architect. I believe he was also a poet, and he only lived to 37. He got a really bad flu or fever and died of that. And then Michelangelo was 88. He was a sculptor, painter, and an architect, and probably the most financially successful. And if you look at just the volume of work he did, he was a machine, and I've heard he also was very difficult to work with. But
this is Michelangelo, yes?
He probably didn't care.
Did you say
what was that?
Was that Michelangelo who you were just talking about at the end there?
Yeah, he lived to 88.
And you said he's a machine. I heard that he only worked when God told him to work. Is that a thing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he did a lot of work for the Pope. He was very religious, but I mean, he did quite a lot of work. He does have a lot of things that aren't finished, but he did do quite a volume of work.
And did any of these four lads have kids, families? Is there ancestors that are still claimed to be?
No,
related?
None of them were married.
Right, the arts.
Looking good for me. All right.
Yeah, I remember reading something that Michelangelo used to like sneak into, or knew somebody in some crypts or something, and he would dissect bodies.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Bloods and the Crips.
No, and that's how he was so good at like knowing the human body was by it was highly illegal. I don't know if this is true, Jason. I don't know where
I believe that there was because of the humanism, there was a little bit of a blind eye turn towards dissection, but it was probably still like, people were probably sneaking around. But yeah, there are like I've seen people who've studied the statues, the carvings that he's done, and like if you move your wrist, you can see a little bump right here, and when your hand's open, that bump goes away, and then when you close your hand, and he actually carved that, I think, onto David, like that little bump is coming out. So he was that precise.
Yeah.
And he must have been famous within his lifetime, right? Like, we didn't just discover him afterwards. He did so much work for the actual church and all that type of stuff that he was a rock star.
Yeah.
He was a rock star in his own lifetime, right?
I think that rock star would be a good term to use for artists in that period, because I mean, there weren't any sound recordings. There wasn't any amplification in the music front. So, I mean, but obviously, we look at the Greeks and they did have theater, but it was always there. And it was always, I mean, you think about how much of a presence God had in the lives of everyday people back then, or the church, however you want to phrase that. So it was like just awe-inspiring, and that's what it was for. It was to show the power of God, not to show the talent of the artist.
Yeah, God got credit.
Well, God made everything.
Yeah, it's true.
He made everything.
And this was like
He made you for it.
when we were talking in the beginning at like what was the Renaissance. This was like when art became more
Not his best
realistic too, right? Is that
What?
no?
Yeah, prior to this period, and we've got the Chiaro, Sciro, and Sfumato.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stuff looked like if you did a collage and you cut characters out of a magazine and then taped them on. A lot of paintings looked like that pre-Renaissance. So they started softening edges, doing light and dark, and just adding dimension, and also a lot of perspective. The Last Supper is a great example of perspective. Unfortunately, Leonardo messed with different kinds of paints that weren't compatible, and it started crumbling within a few hundred years of it being made.
And where is that? It's on a wall, right? I was right about that. It was on a wall?
Yeah, it's on a wall as well.
It's in Milan.
It's in Milan.
Because I wanted to go there when we were there. That's why. That's the only reason I know it, because I like looked up shit to do.
And we didn't do that?
We didn't do it. No, we were gonna do it, but you need to make a reservation and ahead of time.
You know why?
You didn't name drop?
Milan?
Well, we know Jesus.
Yeah.
The reason is that it's a stupid meal. You say you're God, organise a party, but everyone's sitting on one side.
Yeah.
Move around, then Jesus can talk to everyone.
Maybe it was just for the photo.
It's like he's just sitting at a fucking maybe it's just for, but it's like he's sitting at a counter in a fucking diner. Jesus can only have conversations with the bloke next to him, either side. No wonder Judas went, fuck this cunt.
Yeah,
I'm
Judas is
sitting,
at the-
he's
yeah.
way at the end.
He keeps trying to lean
Yeah,
over.
well-
Hey.
What's that famous painting in the diner? And it has the
What, the dog's playing poker?
no. It's got like
Good one.
Doesn't it have like James Dean? Or no? Maybe
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forget the name.
maybe
of
that's
it.
not the way
I think that's an Edward Hopper.
Hopper.
I believe.
Yeah.
It's the Night Hawks or Night Watch or something like that.
Nighthawks. Yeah, and I don't think it does have that. I think they put this one right here, Jim. That one. You seen that?
Yeah.
Then they eventually put that he wasn't in there initially. Who did I say?
James Dean.
Yeah, it's just regular people. I think
yeah.
they redid it and put James Dean in.
I think they put
I'm a
Elvis and Marilyn
fucking
Monroe and
idiot.
other versions.
All right. Where are we at here? Oh, name some other Renaissance artists that are not Ninja Turtles. It said Monet, Rubens, Rembrandt, Venus drinks Milo.
Yes, I stand by all those answers.
Especially the
So
last one.
Monet was a few hundred years later. He was an impressionist. During the Renaissance, I mean, we're mainly talking about Italy right now, but in Belgium there was Jan van Eyck, and then in Italy there's also Botticelli, Hieronymus Bosch in the Netherlands, Titian. So there were a lot of artists from around. I mean, it's also very much a Western European focus, but a lot of different artists from that region.
Yeah, the Eastern Europeans' art wasn't as good. There was a sculptor who just did potato on stick.
Borscht.
Bowl of borscht.
So was the rest? Was it all just like I know you just mentioned Holland then, and we have later on we have Van Gogh coming from Holland and different things like that. Okay, so the British, they're part of Europe, but not really. You know what I mean? Not at all anymore. But were they churning out anything? Was the British? Was there Gary Davis? So you got Michelangelo over here, he's doing his fucking statues and whatnot, right? Over here we got Gary Davis, and Gary normally paints things that are. So what did Gary paint?
Still Life of Guinness.
So it was primarily I don't know on the British side. I'm not sure if their empire hadn't been built up quite to the degree that most of this was in Rome, later to be overturned. But I didn't bring up. There wasn't a lot on England as far as what was going on, but obviously there were art movements as far as
later
these
on,
people painting things and court jesters.
Yeah, it would be the Normans or something. You know what they were doing back then in England? They were dancing around, fucking a pole, holding a bit of ribbon where they run underneath each other. It was a bleak society.
Look, they figured out music later, so we'll give them that.
What I'm saying is it rains a lot there, right?
Yeah.
It rains all day. Of course you're going to have someone pay. You know, when I first moved to England, 2001, I did a lot of shows in Bristol, and Bristol is where Banksy began. And I remember going drunk back from Jester's Comedy Club back to my bed and breakfast motel, right? Walking back, and I used to walk past Banksies that were just freshly painted and just be like, this guy's got something, bit of fun, like the two cops kissing each other or the guy dangling out of the window. Then you'd walk by the next day and they'd be painted over. Like people hadn't quite embraced it yet as like this guy's intelligent.
Wow.
But there's my interesting story that went nowhere.
That was good. You wrapped it up.
Well, you know what I mean? But I remember seeing it before it was something. If I had my time
Gary
over,
Davis.
I would have gotten a jackhammer out and taken it. Like,
Do you think you met Banksy, but you just didn't even know?
Were you Banksy and you were just blacked out?
I have a
Separate Jim
a
Banksy.
friend who in some way knows Banksy, but that's all I can say. But I have not met Banksy.
Oh yeah, JJ Whitehead?
No, but I have
Okay.
a friend who in some way knows Banksy.
Okay.
All right.
What do the following painting terms mean? Chiaro.
Chiaro.
You said long strokes.
Long strokes.
What does it mean?
So chiaro and scuro usually go together. So if you think of obscure and dark, so scuro is dark, chiaro is light. So it kind of is about modeling and not having the features be so flat, rounded, light and dark, giving some dimension to the subject and a lot of the subject matter. I mean, there weren't a lot of landscape paintings. It was all pictures of Jesus and Mary or statues. But in the painting world, chiaroscuro is light and dark, and then sfumato is smoky. So giving a smoky appearance to, say, the background. Instead of having the background in focus, it kind of takes it out of focus, and then that makes you focus on the main character.
All the paintings from that era, they all had that same light, like candle light sort of effect on the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when everyone looks their best. If you ever want to look hot, man, candlelit dinner, everyone looks good. Look over a table of candlelit dinner, you're like, everyone looks really nice right now. I want to die by candlelight.
Die?
It's going to take a long time to die by candlelight. Like,
So when you're almost dead, you want someone
why
to
is
light
he
a
dying?
candle.
Too much candlelight. Yeah, it's one of those candles for Yankee candles that has the
All right,
filament
Joe,
in it.
get some candles.
Okay.
Who painted the Sistine Chapel? You said Michelangelo.
Good
And then
point.
the Sistine Chapel was painted with what ancient and obscure method? You said the tip of your dick, a catapult, and then clay paint. Are any of those right, Jason?
All of them.
So the clay paint is close. It is painted with plaster. So if you look, being you guys are in Los Angeles, there's stucco everywhere. So if you think of, if you've ever seen somebody building a house and stuccoing the exterior or interior walls, imagine putting down that plaster and then painting on it while it's still wet. So in addition to being in the dark and candlelit, Michelangelo he built a giant scaffolding. You can still see the mounting holes in the Sistine Chapel. He built this giant structure where he could stand or lay down, and he would transfer the drawings onto the wet plaster and then paint on it. So it was kind of like watercolor into it, or a trowel of colored pigment that he was laying down just as if he was putting stucco on the building.
What a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's very permanent. It's very sturdy, but I can't imagine. I mean, and just the scale. I was in Los Angeles in 2019 at there's in the city of Orange. There's the Archdiocese of Orange building. It's a giant chrome building, and they had a traveling exhibit of life-size copies of segments from the Sistine Chapel, and I was just amazed at how big those things are. And he painted them, knowing that something was going to be in a corner or in a curve. He painted them to look realistic from the viewer's standpoint, but they were very kind of askew when he painted them. If you're standing there looking at it from 10 feet, it didn't look correct, but from the ground, it does.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. See, people think that the Sistine Chapel is just the finger touch painting, but that's only one panel. There's loads and loads of panels.
Yeah. And like
some of it's just like a Garfield cartoon.
Mondays.
Yeah. It's just
Family Circus, Marmaduke.
Yeah. And then it's that one. And then one of it's just
goes
like
from
stick
the
figures fucking.
Books of Genesis back or up to, God's creation of Adam, God creating the planets, is kind of the 6 days of God's life, shaking things up.
And then how long did it take him? Jim said he started on a Sunday, and then it took him 5 years.
I gave him a half point for that. I mean, it's kind of hard to know. It was 4 years. There was a small break because of payment. He was trying to get the Pope to pay him, and I think the Pope was trying to not pay him to get him to hurry up. It's not a very good movie, but there is a movie starring Charles Heston as Michelangelo called The Agony and the Ecstasy. And it goes over the building of, or the painting of it, and just, how Michelangelo was like, I'm a sculptor, I'm not a painter. He wanted out, but he had to finish it. And because of his faith, he didn't want to disappoint the church.
Yeah, I've read that book. It's by Irving Stone, but I don't remember anything in it. That's why. It's the life of Michelangelo. I remember a few things, but
smart guy.
Charlton Heston.
I thought there was a Steve McQueen one where he played an artist or something. I remember. I remember something where there's a guy laying in the scaffold painting and he looks down in some movie. I can't remember. It might have been the one with Charlton Heston. Is that the one with the monkeys? Is it the one with the monkeys?
No.
That must have been the monkeys.
That
movie didn't even have Charlton Heston in it. They were just a fictional band from the 60s.
Good, you went there. Okay. What other items did Michelangelo complete? He said David and the Big Fountain in Rome, ?
So definitely right with David. And I was looking up David because that the marble, other sculptors had looked at it and they said they wouldn't take it on. And so I looked it up. That the finished piece is 12,500 pounds. And from the quarry, the Carrara marble, it had to go 40 miles. So they didn't have cars, they didn't have trains, and that's 40 miles by modern day road. I don't know how they got it down there. But he said that the carving, that David was already in there. He just released him from the marble. And Jim was right about the head size being disproportionate, because they were originally going to put it on top of a church, but they were just so blown away by it that they were like, we can't put it up there and let it just get shit on all the time. So they made replicas of it. And his right hand is also bigger to give it the illusion of strength, since he was about ready to take on Goliath. The other one,
But one thing about David
Jim was
quickly,
alluding to. What's that?
One thing about David quickly, right? So he's holding the slingshot on his shoulder, right? And he's got his other hand down here. Why no pants? You think even back in those days, if you're going into battle, cover up your dick.
Yeah.
I think it was probably a bit of an homage to the Greek Olympians. They competed in the nude. And it maybe was a sign of that he was poor. Or that, he had a minor circumcision. I have no idea.
All I know is that if I was fighting a guy called Goliath,
Yeah.
I'd keep my dick to myself.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Yeah, like if I'm fighting a guy called Tiny, let's do it.
What else are you saying about after the David? So,
The other, Jim kind of mentioned another sculpture with Mary, and it's the Pieta. And I've never seen this, but I'm just fascinated with that. He completed it at the age of 23, and it is just a magnificent piece of art. And I guess when you're walking in the Louvre and you just pull a corner and it's there. It's not really showcased. And to me, it's like, this is
That's the one, yeah.
an incredible piece of work, especially when you consider he was 23 years old.
holy cow.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on, that one.
Sculptures to me are always the most, it's all impressive. But when you see a sculpture in person, even if it's not a famous one, and you get up right next to it and you start looking at all the little folds of the cloth and the hair,
There's one sculpture. Who's that sculpture? It's of a woman's face, and it's like nylon or silk, like curtain material over the face, and you can see through it, but you still do you know the one I'm talking about? That one's
There's a veil on it.
the veil, veil, but you can see through the stone is the veil. The stone is the veil. It's carved through, so at the same time,
I think I have it here.
yeah, it's something else.
Is that it?
That's the one. That's the one where it looks like
says
material.
The veiled lady.
Veiled lady.
The veiled Toscano, maybe? I don't know. This is like all recreations of it.
Yeah, but it's something else, man. These sculptors know what they're
Oh,
doing.
whoa.
This says the veiled. There's a lot of veiled women, though. There's a lot of ones that are like veiled like that, but still.
But you see what I mean? The marble looks like material.
Yeah,
and
how they do
Very
that.
good. Very good. Very good. Because my dot paintings of my dick.
I don't know. Those come close.
The Veiled Virgin on Wikipedia says is a Carrara marble statue carved in Rome by Giovanni Strazza.
You know about him? What was he up to?
Evidently carving women with veils.
What was he up to? What is Leonardo da Vinci's most famous piece? Is it the Mona Lisa? You said the Mona Lisa and then the Last Supper. Mona Lisa.
I would definitely say that. I mean, there's probably more copies of the Last Supper in old ladies' houses, but like my mother-in-law has a copy of it. Mona Lisa's on phone cases, and the Last Supper's in dining rooms of old Catholic women.
I wasn't married to Kate, but a very nice person, Kate, and not that that's got anything to do with being married. But we love Kate. But Kate's mother, who was somewhat my mother-in-law for a while, right? I had a child. Yeah. She loved a Jesus. She's still alive, but she loves a Jesus head bust, right? Mm-hmm. And she had one on top of the telly, right? Back when you could remember when you used to put things on top of the telly?
Yep.
When something was really good, before flat screens, you go, I'll put that trophy up there.
Yeah.
I've just gone, go-karting with my brothers and I've won. I'll put that on top of the telly. So everyone watches the telly. So on top of her telly, she had a bust of Jesus' head with thorns with blood dripping down, and his head was like this. And she found that to be relaxing in some way. So it was always
Sounds Catholic.
Oh, yeah. Loved it. I got her a crucifix. That was for a gift once. She was over the moon.
That's great.
When she was leaving her house, she had a box of crucifixes. Just one box that said crucifixes.
It's fun.
Yeah, couldn't pick it up. It was so hot.
Look, if someone gets possessed in that family, they've got it covered.
Oh, they've got it covered.
Leonardo's most famous works were paintings, but what else was he known for? Jim said he invented aircrafts.
And other things. The skateboard.
Yeah, he did have a lot of like a parachute type device, a tank, some I can't remember the name of the movie. It was a Bruce Willis movie where they had the
Hudson
like
Hawk.
little bat wings for flying.
Hudson Hawk.
So he did have a lot of inventions.
Or was it Die Hard?
It was Hudson Hawk, yeah.
Wasn't Die Hard for
Yeah, Hudson Hawk.
But when he invented these things...
I tell you, you know that answer better than Bruce Willis. Oh, that's terrible. His poor fellow's got dementia. Okay, move on.
Oh, it's in there now.
I feel bad.
Yeah, hope you don't listen to this, Demi.
Demi Moore. I'd hate for Bruce Willis's kids to hear that more than Demi Moore, his ex-wife. Demi, listen away. Enjoy yourself, love. Sorry for calling you love. I've lost a few fans there. I think I'm misogynistic.
You lost her as a fan.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Who were the top financiers of the Renaissance? You said the Catholic Church and Scientology. Jason, what is that?
You got to say the Pope,
got a
right?
half point on that one for the Catholic Church, obviously. The other one was the Medici family. They were a banking family that just came into a lot of money with shipping and all the importation and exportation of goods. So they would finance different projects in the name of God to have good standing with the church or voting powers or whatever it was.
The Medicis. I remember that name.
Yeah, they invented rice.
Medici?
And didn't they produce the Bond movies?
That's the broccolis.
Oh.
But
Different vegetable.
Medici, there's a bridge. Don't they have a bridge or something like that?
Sounds like a DJ in Vegas.
That's why Italians are a little bit smug in it. It's because they're the epicenter of all the good art, right?
Yeah.
Got
the art and the food.
And they invented all the good stuff, man. They did.
And then
You can catcall all you want, Italians. You've done it. You've done enough.
and did they finance Columbus's voyage as well? Is that Jim said it was Gilligan?
No, that wasn't a tie-in on that. I was just kind of throwing that one in because of since you guys have done a Columbus episode.
Are you seeing if I'd
Spain-
remember?
What's that?
You were checking if I remember one of the answers?
And you didn't.
I don't
Yeah.
remember shit. I watched a game show the other day, this show called The Floor, which you got to check this show out. Watch it from the beginning. It's on Hulu. It's Rob Lowe's hosting it. Rob Lowe hosting TV. It turns out he's not a very warm fella.
Yeah.
Turns out he's been good looking his whole life and just sort of rocks up like this. Okay, so you women want to have sex with me? Hi. So all it is you watch things and you have a clock on each side.
Yeah,
and
I've seen the preview. Yeah.
They'll go kitchenware and they'll put up things and you got to answer quickly as your clock goes down and everything. So it's literally like this. You feel like a genius as you do it. You go fork, spoon, spatula, ladle, right? Like you're killing it, right? Anyway, so they were doing these episodes, and I had a friend over. I was telling about the show, and I was doing the episode again. I'd watched the episode 3 hours earlier, and I didn't recall any of the all the answers I got wrong again.
So you don't remember who Columbus? Yeah.
No, I remember he directed the Home Alone movies. The end.
Yeah. It was Spain, and I thought it was Portugal. It was Spain. I don't even remember our episodes.
The Spanish funded him to go to either the end of the world and disappear forever, or to the New World.
And then
1492.
Who is considered the most significant invention, or what is considered the most significant invention of the Renaissance? Jim said the paintbrush. Before that, they were using horsetails.
Correct.
So in the 1400s, the Gutenberg press was invented, and there had been printing presses before that, but the thing with the Gutenberg press was it was a movable type press, so you could set it up to print, I'll just say the Bible. You can print page 1 100 times and then page 2. And so that was probably, not artistically speaking, but the most significant invention. Artistically speaking, I would say perspective and sfumato and stuff like that. But the most significant actual invention was the Gutenberg movable type press.
And did any of the artists make money? That all you said Michelangelo maybe did, or?
Yeah, Michelangelo was estimated, or it's now estimated, that he was worth about the modern equivalent of $50 million.
Oh, wow.
So he was a very much a workaholic and I think he was accepted into a studio when he was 13. He started his formal training at the age of 13. So, and like I said, he did the Pieta when he was 23 years old. So to have that much talent and skill at 23 and to live until I think I said he was 88, had quite a long. He was carving a statue in his studio when he dropped dead.
Then enjoy his money. What is said to have ended the Renaissance? Was it disco?
Yes, it was funk and disco music.
Oh, no.
No, it was the Reformation. So there were so many names as I was looking this up. It was like I got lost. So basically, the king was mad that the Pope had a little too much power, and the king, we think of Italy in the terms of today, the boot, but it was just Rome at the time. And then the king was also the king of Austria, and then later the king of Spain. So, but basically he got mad that the Pope had too much power and ended it. And then also the Pope was getting tired of, people being a little too humanistic. So it was kind of, but other areas of the world, that's where then England and France had their own. But it was mainly the fall of Rome is what ended the Italian Renaissance.
All right, great. Now is a part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We asked our expert to give us a fact, something obscure, interesting they can use to impress people about this subject. What do you got for us?
So we've got a few, but the first one, I'll just say really quick, the only thing that Michelangelo ever signed was the Pieta, and he overheard some people saying that there was no way that he could have created that. So in the middle of the night, he grabbed a chisel and a mallet and went in and carved on a ribbon across the chest of Mary. Michelangelo Buonarroti made this. And later he said he regretted that act of his ego, but that was the only piece that he ever signed. So that was pretty significant. Considering that he lived another 55 years.
Thank fuck he wasn't around during the internet.
Yeah.
Fucking one person he heard overhearing it. Oh no! Fucking the criticism he could have had. Call that a fucking ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it hell.
And then the other one is there's a painting called Salvator Mundi, and it's the most expensive painting ever sold. And it was found like 25, 30 years ago, and it's partially attributed to Leonardo, and nobody's really 100% sure, but it was in horrible shape. It's more restored than it is real. And it was bought at basically almost like a garage sale for $1,200, and then it sold for $10,000, and then it went for $75 million, and then the Saudi prince bought it in 2017 for $450 million.
Oh.
NFT. That's what it is now. That's what
Can we all agree that the Mona Lisa is overrated? What's your opinion?
Not seeing it in life, I can't say.
I've seen it in life. It's small. You walk up there, everyone's doing the same. No one's going. When you watch David, everyone's going, wow. Everyone's going, wow. Everyone in the room's like, fuck it. Everyone does this in front of the Mona Lisa. Huh.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Why is it so famous?
If part of that is, like I mentioned earlier, the Mona Lisa's on phone cases. You can't have David in 3 dimensions on your phone case. So there's probably a lot more. And plus, he's 17 feet tall. So I think you're right with the scale of it all.
It's just if she was a better looking bird, maybe that would be something.
She was good.
If it was Marilyn Monroe, maybe.
Give me a bit of Andy Warhol any day. Was he Renaissance?
She's no watercolor painting, whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, she's no watercolor painting. The Mona Lisa, she's no watercolor painting.
Well, Jason Taittinger, thank you for being here. Please go check out, if you're not watching this on YouTube, go on and click on. You can see a lot of Jason's work behind him. He's really good watercolor paintings, really beautiful stuff. You can buy that stuff at watercolor.printify.me. He's got Poo on a Stick shirts at
Poo on a Stick,
merchmonger.printify.me, and then check him out his YouTube channel at JT8NJR and on Instagram at Jason Taittinger, and email him jasontaittinger@gmail.com. Thanks for being here, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. I
You're very
appreciate you
welcome.
being on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at an art gallery and someone walks up to you and goes, do you know the Mona Lisa was painted by the same guy who invented the tank? Go, well, I don't know about that, and walk away. Good night, Australia.